Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The Tennessee Titans are signing free agent safety Jamal Adams. Initially reported by ESPN's Teron Davenport, it has since been confirmed by the team's official account. It reunites Adams with Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson, who was his defensive backs coach during his Pro Bowl seasons in 2018 and 2019 with the Jets before Wilson's move to Seattle, where he was until last season, released in March after playing 9 games in 2023. Jamal Adams, 28 years old, and will turn 29 this season. Financial terms have not been disclosed, but Adam Schefter adding it is going to be a 1-year deal. 2 Georgia football players were arrested this week on misdemeanor charges that included reckless driving. According to 247 Sports, linebacker Smile Munden was booked on Wednesday night. Offensive tackle Bo Hewley was booked on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, the U.S. men's national team fired head coach Greg Berhalter after crashing out of Copa America in the group stage. Berhalter had been the coach since 2018, and the federation now will look to name a replacement to lead the U.S. into the 2026 World Cup, in which America will be a host nation. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And good afternoon to you. Welcome in to 104.5 The Zone. He is the hitman, Blaine Bishop. I'm Joe Hunk. Brought to you by All 4 Seasons Garage Doors. And it's only fitting that Jamal Adams is now a Titan as the safety. We have our own. As we're going to be, we have our own.
I'm the safety net. I'm the safety net.
No, not safety net. You literally know everything that this man's supposed to be doing whenever he gets on the field now.
That, man, I don't know.
There's not another show that will be happening across the country that will have the information on this that we have about what he's about to go through.
Show this has 4-letter network Brian Klein.
No.
He may know just a tad, just as much as I know. I don't know if he'll know more, but
don't landmine the hype 2 minutes into this. We're landmining the hype here because, yes, Jamal Adams is a Titan. We do not know the specifics of the deal. We do not know anything more than the fact that he is in the facility.
He's in the building.
It's not just hey, we've signed him. He'll be here in a couple of days because training camp is going to be starting. About 30 minutes ago, he sat down with Mike Keith.
Oh, did he?
And they are filming what they are calling now an emergency OTP, which
an emergency.
Mike Keith is amazing on those. Rhett Bryan helps a lot of those. Coach Mack is all over the OTP. But beforehand, Mike Keith got Jamal Adams to talk just a little bit about what he's going to bring to the Titans in 2024.
I post videos to tell you about significance, but rather than me doing a video saying why the Jamal Adams signing is significant to the Tennessee Titans, let's ask Jamal Adams why the signing of Jamal Adams is significant.
Leadership, swagger, energy.
Believe that.
No,
that
was it.
I also love the fact that Mike Keith went full Roman Reigns at the very end of that and believe that. That's a wrestling term.
Oh, that was wrestling?
Yeah, he went full wrestling on that. Believe that. That was Roman Reigns before he said acknowledge me. He was saying believe that. And so it is the fact that Jamal Adams is a Tennessee Titan, and obviously he should be for camp because he's already in town. And we want to know what you think because right now you can get in on multiple ways. 615-737-1045 to let us know that way about what you think about the signing of Jamal Adams. You can obviously shoot us a tweet at Joe Hunk, at BBishop23. You can also get in on the F&M Bank chat by going to YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch and getting in there. We've got people that are saying, like William is saying, that firing Mike Vrabel might have been the best thing that ever happened to the Titans because of all the signings that have happened this offseason. Just going to come out throwing haymakers right there in the beginning.
I'm not going to go that far, but Yeah, definitely. Never happy about somebody getting fired, but it was time to make a change, and it's all for the better. You get to see a lot more offensive players for sure. Now we get to see on the defensive side. We'll yet to see if he is on the team or if he's starting or not, Jamal Adams. Someone asked me, what was your initial reaction?
That's exactly what I was about to ask you.
And I was just like, man, I was a little shocked, but then when I thought about it, I realized that the coaching staff all were, at least defensively in the secondary as well as the DC, coached him with the Jets, and that was when he was at his best. Now, I don't know if he can rekindle that, but over the last 2 or 3 years, he hasn't played a lot of football, being that he got injured. I think he tore his labrum, then I think he tore his quad. So that's really more my concern, that if he stays healthy, I think he can be a productive player. Still today, even, he may have lost a little bit of a step, but he said swagger. Those are his terms. But I'm going to say when I watch film, and I watched a lot of them today, I saw smart, instinctive. He has a mindset that I'm going to F you up. That resonates with this defense. And I love this defense and the style because it's kind of what we did. And it's got the mindset of the coordinator and his toughness. So all those things and those attributes play well for him in game when you watch him play. So I actually like his game. He's more of a freelancer, tight end cover guy, if you want to give him that. He's not a big cover guy, at least as of today. So I watched a lot of the Seahawks. Now, when he was with the Jets, he was phenomenal. He was making plays all over the place, even in the back end there with PBUs. He's probably got the same issues I do. He can't catch very well, running really fast. But other than that, I didn't. I'm interested to see if he stays healthy, and he's healthy enough. Got to remember now, he didn't play very much last year, right? Only, 9?
Well, he hasn't played very much in the last 3 seasons. So
I think 21 games in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, 2021, he played in 12 games. In 2022, he only played a half of football because week 1 against the Broncos, he got injured. That's when he tore the quad. 2023, he was out for the beginning of the season because he was still rehabbing from the quad, and then he ended up only starting and playing in 9 games for the Seattle Seahawks. So truly, yes, he's only played in 21 games because he only played a half of football in 2022.
Yeah, so if he's healthy, I think we're going to get the best version of him because he's going to be fired up. He wants to prove that he's back. Very motivated individual. And when I was looking him up, it was some of these things, and I remember him coming out. I remember him at LSU. He was a bad man. He was he was really good. And I didn't realize that his dad actually played for the New York Giants and went in the first round as well, 19th pick overall, but he played a different position. He was a running back. I think he ended up playing 5 or 6 years, probably had some injury issues, but he was never the dude. He was never the starter, but he was in the league, and he was drafted 19th overall, where Jamal Adams for safety was drafted 6th overall. I think it was 17, 18. What year was it? But he was 6th pick. So he's been impressive since he's been in the league until these last three years, really. So interested to see what the contract looks like, probably incentive-laden type contract, because if he can rekindle all of that and he's healthy now that he hadn't played, because there are some positives that he may get back healthy and can rekindle what he used to look like in, this season. And that's what they want, because they're trying to buy themselves time. The Titans are, until they find their starting safety, whether that's him and Molden rotating, or do they just use him in what I call the dime position, which is more of a linebacker spot, which he can do, and it's just kind of natural for him in certain packages. So it'll be interesting to see how they try to implement him. But just his swagger, his toughness, and his mindset, I think it's a guy, if he's healthy, you want him out there starting. I don't know if a situational, unless his body is, not, performing well, even in training camp, because this is where you get to see. So I like how they brought him in now, and he knows the system somewhat. I'm sure they've, changed a few things since the Jets days, but to see if his body can hold up during training camp, because that's the toughest time you're going to be tested, really, to see the wheels. For sure.
Well, and last year he made $11 million in his contract. His AAV was 17.5. And so that's where everybody's like wondering, what the kind of contract is that he just signed with the Titans, because there's no way it's anywhere close to 17.5.
No. Well, he was traded for multiple first and second round picks and a fifth round pick or fourth round pick as well during that trade to the Seahawks. I think 3 or 4 years into his career. So then they signed him to a mega deal. I think 4 years, $72 million. I think you told me.
Yep, 4 years, 72.
So so he's not that. I think it's an incentive-laden deal. It may be for more than that. It may be $1.5 million, $2 million with some incentives. Because when you're talking about a player like him, if he is healthy, he's a natural, driven person as a player. So you may get, lightning in a bottle for this 1 year that you signed him. I'm assuming it's a 1 year deal. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not, it's still a 1 year deal. I don't care what they signed him to. 3 year deal. It's a 1 year deal. I signed a 3 year deal with the Eagles. I was there 1 year. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping this is exciting, especially being connected to former coaches who understand who he is, how to keep him in the right lane, because there were some times there with Carroll that I think he got a little bit out of the lane. And when I say out of the lane, that is, you're dealing with a player who was a high draft pick, has a huge ego, and then all of a sudden he got benched with Carroll there, who I think can manage through pretty much anything. He's really savvy with the media and even dealing with players like that. Who was really upset that he got benched. He probably never got benched before in his life. And everybody who's listened to our show know I talk a lot about failures. You got to have failures to see how you respond to those failures, and that'll really dictate who you really are in life and not just in sports. That's why I love sports, because you're not. You should know this more than anything. Baseball is a sport where you fail at more than in any other sport.
Oh yeah, you get excited when you succeed one time,
right? So. I think that was the first time that happened to him, and he didn't handle it very well.
Yeah, he
didn't even show up for a game.
The end of his career in Seattle was not very good.
It was bad.
On the field and off the field. Yeah, there was a lot of off the field. There's a lot of stuff that happened in front of cameras. Yeah. There was a lot of things that happened with that there are question marks with it. Let me ask, because during the season this year, he's going to turn 29 years old. Mm-hmm. I know we always hear about the running back position, and you don't want to get close to 30 or anything. Is there like a point in time in like a player's career, like a strong safety or any sort of safety position, where the age does start to play into it whenever you're looking at a signing like this, about it potentially being a multi-year deal? Yeah. Is there anything like that when it comes to that position, or is it that just kind of more of a running back thing?
No, that is a running back thing. I retired when I was 33, mm-hmm. and you really hit your prime when you're as a safety in most positions, because you've seen everything probably when you're 27, 28, if you've been starting.
Which is, he's 28 now.
Yeah. So I'm more concerned with his health. I'm not concerned if he's healthy and he can still run and do the things he used to do. I'm not worried about him turning the corner, and he's not. Him turning the corner is because he can't get back healthy and he can't run anymore. That's it. No, a guy of his ilk, if he stays healthy, he could go into early 30s, 32, 33, and still be pretty good. If I hadn't torn my groin, I probably still kept going for a couple more years. So I just didn't want any more surgeries. So that could be something he could deal with. He's making a lot more money than I did. So, no, I think that's just a running back deal that is not related to other positions. Now, every position has its age where you're going to start going down the ticker. When you say down, the ticker is down the hill. But you say he's 28?
He's 28. He'll be 29 during the season on October 17th.
No. So if you start using that analogy, Ridley's 29. Mm-hmm. And
a lot of people
watch this. I'm gonna say this: he's the fastest dude I saw out there at practice.
And before that signing happened, even when he went to Jacksonville, it was okay. He had the year off because of the gambling. Mm-hmm. And he's a year older. Like, how did that play into it? And so there's a lot of questions with that. And he answered a lot of them in Jacksonville. And now after the contract, people wanted to continue to ask that question. Yeah. So, we asked about how you're feeling about this right now. Lonzo says that if this is a cheap contract, it's totally worth it. Yep. Yappin says that he hasn't finished a full season in 3 years. Yeah. No one should be excited about this deal. You have Torrey says that, as Coach Mack likes to say, we need to keep our powder dry, but the defensive back position looks pretty good right now. So that's part of this. We also have a poll out on X as well that you can go to at 1045 The Zone to give us your, how you're feeling about it as far as this excitement level for Jamal Adams. And when we come back, we're going to ask Buck about that because this broke during Buck's show. He's got a lot of contacts that he was texting and talking to during the show, getting information about Jamal Adams. And so we'll find more about that in just a minute.
One more thing is they also could still sign under the safety, and this is cost effective because if they did get him for, the minimum or somewhere around there, $1.5 million, $2 million, you get to see, and it doesn't hurt the cap very much. And if he's not good enough, then, you didn't spend a whole bunch of money. Whether you cut him or just use him in a lesser role, I think you win all the way around if you're the Titans, regardless of whatever happens with him.
Because Justin Simmons is a different position at safety than what he is, right? Jamal Adams is strong safety. He's free safety. How much of a difference is there with those two?
Well, I think their skill sets are different. When people say that there is no more strong and free safety, you got to be the same because that's just the way with the league and the way it's at, and that's why most of these run support safety guys are kind of getting eliminated unless you can cover. So his covering skills were okay, and then when he started having issues with injuries, then it became just average at best.
All right, well, Buck Reising, he just walked out of the studio. He's driving down the interstate now, so we're just going to give him a call and bug him for a few more minutes as he's going to join us here in just about 5 minutes from now. He is the hitman, Blaine Bishop. I am Joe Hunk, and this is all Four Seasons Garage Doors' favorite show on 104.5 The Zone.
Stinky, stinky, stinky. Is that what it was like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Smelly, greasy old rags laying around, a countertop that you would not dare touch. Another thing that stinks is repair shops that keep your car forever, and they're not honest. They don't call you back when they say they will. Was that your last experience at a vehicle repair shop? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop to tell you about Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. And at Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit and not high-pressure sales tactics. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. You never pay dealer pricing as well. And it's located in Eurofix in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said you.
Vidal on the F&M Bank chat asked, is this real life? I'm assuming he's meaning the fact that the Titans have signed Jamal Adams, which at the moment, or up until about 3 hours ago, Jamal Adams was considered one of the best safeties still on the market going into training camp. But now he is a Tennessee Titan in Nashville, already over at the facility. Mike Keith was talking to him just a little while ago. You can get on the phone lines here in just a little bit at 615-737-1045. You can also watch our Zone TV chat simply by going to YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch, and you can get on the F&M Bank chat.
Yeah. I can say this is a value signing if it's a economical type contract. So for the value, I think it's great. I'm not saying, obviously if they didn't give him a whole bunch of money and he was still on the market, they think he can bring something, but they didn't give a whole ransom of money to him being with his history over the last 3 years. So I think it's value signing. That was kind of a JR type signing right there.
Right. And see, that's where the interesting part, I think, for a lot of fans is going to come down to what the contract is. Like, they want to know what the numbers are. But this broke during Buck's show. Matter of fact, like right as Buck was coming on the air is when this all became official, and Buck Reising joins us right now. And like, Buck, for you, when you did get the text or the news and you saw it, what was your initial thought on the fact that Jamal Adams is now a Titan?
Is he going to play? What is
so silly?
I mean, I push back immediately on the idea that he's one of the best available safeties on the market. I don't think that's how NFL talent evaluators are talking about it. And I would agree with Blaine's notion of a signing, of a value signing rather, because it's my I haven't gotten specific contract details yet, but it's my understanding that it is a cheap deal. So. Yeah, I was just texting with a couple of, we'll call them veteran NFL personnel evaluators, and I asked any thoughts on Jamal Adams as a fit here, and I got back, he stinks. So I'm not overwhelmingly optimistic about him playing a substantive role, but if he can be healthy and available, and they can find a specific kind of job for him to do, then, it's like Blaine said, as long as the money's not crazy, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be, then there's no real harm in doing it. But this is a price-related thing this is a cost-related thing more than anything. And I don't know what Justin Simmons is asking for specifically, the top available safety on the market, but sounds like it's more than they're willing to pay right now.
Okay, so you had these people that were texting you back saying that he was horrible. Did they give you reasons as to what they see on tape that is the reason why they said that?
I have endeavored follow-ups because that text just came in right before we started this interview.
Oh, okay. So, all right, well, just quit. So then,
anyway.
Okay, so then if in that case and the way you're looking at this signing, what are you seeing as his potential role on the team then?
Basically a linebacker. I mean, he has been deployed around the front. He's been used to bring pressure. He's been used not really for his coverage skills, but he's a physical, hard-hitting football player, and he fits the description of, he kind of fits the description of the dog acronym that they like to toss around. I don't know how disciplined he is, and that there's some behavior at the end of his Seahawks tenure that is less than reputable. And I'm sure, this is the problem though, because we get one-sided stories oftentimes, especially with the way that these players are covered, especially players like Jamal Adams. So before I get the chance to, have a full-on conversation about, hey, why did things go south with Seattle the way that they did? Because if I'm not mistaken, they sent him home from a game because he was reportedly not satisfied with the amount of playing time that he was or was not getting at that particular point. I would like to hear his perspective on it, and having not had that firsthand conversation with him myself, I'll withhold judgment. But he needs to be a good soldier. It's to a lesser extent because it's not the same kind of impact that we're talking with Stephon Diggs and the Houston Texans. But these are even though he's only 28, he's definitely on the decline of his career. He has not played a full season since 2018. That's a long, long time. Even during his All-Pro season, he was not completely healthy. And what he was doing during his All-Pro season was pretty impressive. But he's not here for his coverage ability, and we'll see how much competition he's actually in with somebody like Elijah Molden, who's in the starting spot right now alongside alongside Amani Hooker, but there's nothing to stop them from playing three safety looks in nickel and dime.
Buck Reising joins us right now from the Buck Reising Show here on 104.5 The Zone, as well as A to Z.
Yeah, Buck, you said he's undisciplined. Were you talking about on the field or off the field? Because I get what you're saying off the field, but when I watched a lot of tape of him in Seattle, because naturally he was phenomenal with the Jets. He was all pro. He was one of the best safeties in the league at that time. But he definitely has lacked off a little bit there as far as a player, and I think it's attributed to injuries. He also has a relationship with the actual DB coach as well as the DC from his time with the Jets. And I think him knowing them and them knowing him, hopefully they push the right buttons and his body doesn't give out on him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's at the core of this, right? Like he has to be available, right? It doesn't matter what his personality is. It doesn't matter what his role is. If he's not available to play, then it's for naught, which has kind of been the story of Jamal Adams' last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Even though he was having a solid season before, I believe a groin injury knocked him out in 2021. Yes, that was a reference more to his off the field behavior, Blaine, which can factor in because, you know, if he's in the locker room and he's not satisfied with his situation, can you buffer that basically by surrounding him by people who he knows, people who he trusts, which is a very, very important thing as a player and not easy to come by. A level of trust as a player, especially one who's been, I won't say moved around as much as Jamal Adams has, because you know the Jets, the Seahawks gave up first-round picks for Jamal Adams. They obviously thought highly of him as a player, even though that deal was kind of panned after the fact based on Jamal Adams' usage. He has to be in a situation that he trusts, and he's got connections. His representation has connections with Rand Carthon, so I'm sure that helped facilitate the deal. As you mentioned, he's got relationships with multiple members of the defensive coaching staff, not just Denard Wilson, who was his defensive backs coach during his most successful stretch of football to his career. So, you know, I think there are plenty of reasons for questions. There are plenty of reasons to make sense of it from a football standpoint, and it's all TBD for him here. Just as we talk about players with fresh starts in different locations and things like that. He's only 28. But a 28-year-old with that much damage on his body, especially for the style that he plays, Blaine. It's easier for those guys to wear down because that's just not how safeties operate really anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on with Buck Reising from the Buck Reising Show. I guess one more question for me then on that same note. Do you think the Titans are still interested in signing another safety?
Yeah, I think they very well could be. I think they're, it's not a flush safety market, right? Which is why that was a bit of a salary cap bloodbath for a bunch of these dudes who are name brand commodities. We talk about Justin Simmons, but there's also Quandre Diggs, there's Micah Hyde, and those players are a little longer than the tooth than Simmons or certainly Jamal Adams are. But I don't think there's any harm in bringing him in now, but with a little less than 2 weeks to go before everybody's supposed to report, and continuing to evaluate the position, because it doesn't sound like there's going to be a ton of movement with the safeties right now. It may pick up a little bit as people start to filter back into the facility, because for what it's worth, half the Titans front office personnel is not back in the facility yet. So this is something where people are starting to trickle back in after the 4th of July holiday. Maybe you had the visit scheduled and said, okay, risk worth the reward potentially here. If I was a Titans fan, I would kind of moderate expectations because he's a more famous name than he is a good football player right now.
Well, I didn't give you a heads up on this one. It's kind of a tough one, but give us, going into training camp, maybe a surprise cut or trade by the Titans that won't be on the roster that we assume will be on the roster. It could be in the backup role too. Doesn't matter.
A surprise trade is an interesting discussion point to have there, guys, because, Traylon and Malik are two players that we talk about often and two players that fans seem to be interested in trying to recoup some value from. I would be surprised to see Malik Willis off. I honestly would be surprised to see Malik Willis cut whenever the cuts come down, depending on how training camp goes. And, of course, training camp has to play itself out first. But I do think that they're more inclined to try and work it out with him rather than cut him and try and sneak him through on the practice squad through waivers. So I would honestly be surprised to see Malik Willis get cut, but I do think that there's a viable case to be made for that.
There you have it, Buck Reising from the Buck Reising Show.
Buck, I always try to look 2 and 3 steps down the line when it comes to something with a signing like this. And, we've talked about the linebacker group, the secondary, and the things that the Titans need to improve in the offseason. Making and having this signing of Jamal Adams, is it saying anything about the confidence level that they have in other positions that we have talked about throughout the summer that Titans fans aren't thinking about right now?
Does it say anything about the confidence?
Yeah, confidence in, say, possibly the defensive line, because a lot of people have thought about, adding to that position even more, even after the draft, things like that.
Well, listen, if they're confident about their defensive line situation, they know a hell of a lot more about their defensive line situation than we do, obviously. But like the Sweat thing, I can't have confidence in somebody who I don't see practice, much less we'll see how that plays out, and training camp will provide a fresh opportunity. The answer is no. I don't think that's tied to any other position group specifically. I think that just happened to be a circumstance that was advantageous, that they felt could be advantageous for him. He was in the facility. They decided to not let him leave without a contract. I don't think that speaks to a prioritization one way or the other.
Well, and another thing that we've kind of been looking at, and you mentioned earlier, how little and how few of games he's actually played in the past few years on this. Is there a confidence?
And in the last 2.
Yeah, especially in the last 2. Is there a confidence level that he is going to be available for 16 or 17 games this season?
Games to be played back in 2018. So I'm not going to speak to his medicals. I don't have access to that, so I don't want to be irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's more about the money than it is about anything else. I really wouldn't look further than the money on this.
Join right now, Buck Reising from A to Z, as well as the Buck Reising Show here on 104.5 The Zone.
Well, Buck, I've been saying this there the last couple of years with Vrabel when he was at the helm, and now, Coach Callahan has come out and kind of hinted around that they'll be playing veterans more in the preseason, or starters, let's say that. What were your thoughts when you heard that head coach Callahan was saying that he was going to play, the starters a little bit more in the preseason?
Well, I appreciated his logic, because that's something that certainly Titans fans can identify with. This is a team that at least under Vrabel, during the way that he ran things while he was here, did get off to slow starts. And whether you want to attribute that to lack of playing time for the starters in the preseason, I think some of that's fair. I think certainly defensively, there has never been a greater case to play starters during the preseason than right now with the contact rules being the way that they are, because you have to get these full contact reps somewhere. And while they do have joint training camp practices and something like that, there's still limits on how hard they can go, even if they say, all right, boys, we're going 100% here. But so help me God, if you hit that quarterback, right? So there are still some limitations on the joint training camp practices and things like that. So, his logic was, hey, we planned to play Burrow until he had the calf strain. And then when Burrow wasn't out there, we didn't think it made sense to put the rest of the offensive starters out there without the starting quarterback. So provided that the starting quarterback is healthy, this is an offensive line that needs reps together. This is a quarterback that needs reps with his wide receivers, his new wide receivers in live game reps. And it's a younger roster than it was. Because Lucas, you and I had this conversation too at some point last year, Blaine, and you sold me on the idea of, listen, there are too many guys not playing who haven't earned that right, or who are not known enough commodities to miss this kind of time. And we talked specifically about Chigakonkwo, and you and me and Mickey and Kayla on the pregame show, it was well documented. Chigakonkwo's struggles basically until the final quarter of the season. So I appreciate, one, that I'm not going to have to spend the next month and a half pulling teeth on that, because it's not some kind of state secret. Just tell us if you want to play him during the preseason, if you don't want to play him during the preseason, and then after the preseason games we can talk about who played and who didn't play. But that it's out of the way in early July and not something that we have to fret about when there's other important things to talk about on the roster. I appreciate the approach, and I understand the logic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We went with Buck Reising from the Buck Reising Show. I guess one more for me. I saw Jeffrey Simmons was ranked, I think, as the 4th ranked interior defensive tackle in the National Football League. I felt like that was kind of sort of about right. But what were your thoughts when you saw it? I mean, he could be a little higher if he wasn't injured. I don't know.
Yeah, and there were reasons that they shut him down the stretch, right? So I don't want to totally ding him for being unavailable when that was clearly a decision that was made organizationally in conjunction with Jeff once playoffs were clearly out of the question. But I thought it was a fair ranking based off, if we're going off last year's sample size, then Jeff was, no higher than fourth because Quinnen Williams, Chris Jones is the best now that Aaron Donald's out of the game. Mm-hmm. Chris Jones is the best, definitively. There is no interior defensive lineman that single-handedly can impact a game the way that Chris Jones can. And Quinnen Williams and Dexter Lawrence were more impactful players than Jeff Simmons was last year. Now, can Jeff work his way back up the list? Sure, he's completely capable of that. He's as talented as anybody not named Chris Jones, and he's well within, provided that he is available and plays more than 12 games this year. And, it was interesting, though, some of the criticism that was, or some of the commentary, rather, maybe not outright criticism, in that piece, Blaine, where these scouts and personnel people were talking about when he's focused and when he's intent on making these kind of plays, there are few other guys who can wreck a game plan like that. And Jeff's focus has never really been a part of our commentary or his motivation at times. And I always have a hard time working that into actual analysis because there's no rate. And unless it's blatantly obvious that a player is giving effort or not giving effort, I really struggle with having that, with taking a position that way. But I did find it interesting that was some of the commentary that they chose to use in that piece.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. One with Buck Reising for the Buck Reising Show. One more kind of a fun question. So you cover all the league and you know what's going on around the National Football League. Outside of Mahomes, what quarterback would you want at that position on the last drive of a Super Bowl?
Burrow. I trust Joe Burrow. Overall, as a quarterback, Burrow. The most physically talented quarterback in the NFL is Josh Allen, more so than Mahomes. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about the overall playing of the position, the intricacies required, the idea of managing that final drive, right? Quarterbacks get hit with game manager far too often as almost a slur, when I think that completely ignores the fact that it is a part of their job description to manage the situations appropriately. So Burrow, I think, is the most well-rounded player at the position, not named Pat. And, there's a case for Lamar, too, certainly after I think Todd Monken brought out the best version of him that we have seen to date. But there's just something about Joe Burrow in those circumstances. And he's proven it, right? He has been to a Super Bowl that we haven't seen from Allen or Lamar just yet.
Yeah, he's my favorite quarterback, even over Mahomes, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Any specific reason?
I think he's a lot more disciplined, plays the quarterback position how I would want my quarterback to play it. I think Mahomes plays a little backyardish, and if I'm the head coach, that would make me a little nervous, and I'm worried about we don't have another Mahomes. So he runs around a little bit more than I want, but I think Burrow is a little more disciplined in that he takes what the defense gives him. He doesn't try to do it himself. That's something that Josh Allen needs to do, and Mahomes has gradually gotten there, but it's taken him longer than expected because he had so much success doing it the way he did. And Andy had to ring him back in, and it's just hard once you have success.
No, I 100% agree. I don't think we've seen Mahomes play the quarterback position better than we have in the last two seasons. And I think a lot of the letdowns last year were because of the lack of skill talent, consistent skill talent around him. But it has taken him to this point because you talk about things that offensive linemen do and don't like. The way that Mahomes kind of frenetically just drifts in the pocket. Is not what he's supposed to do, but it's a part of how he plays the game, right? And that's the kind of the balance that you have to strike. And, all right, what can we allow to not take away too much from the player while still trying to get him to be a more disciplined quarterback? I think the scary thing for the league is that he's
getting better.
That's player. But he's getting better at it, and that's scary unto itself.
Yeah, that's uncommon because everybody just looks at the results and them winning. But at the end of the day, it's about the style of quarterback you want. Like Josh Allen still has to get there and take what the defense instead of try to do it by himself. If not, he could be on that elite plane and because he's just as talented or even more talented than both of those guys. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Well, Buck, we appreciate it, man. Thank you. I know this story's only a few hours old, and we had a ton of questions for you, man. So we appreciate you hopping on with us.
What do you mean? I got it in the middle of a 3-hour radio show and then had to scrap the rundown. This is a breeze.
Oh, I was about to, okay.
Appreciate it.
We got a couple more
We'll have you
hours.
next segment. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Talk to you in a minute.
Bye, boys.
All right, bye. Love you. That is Buck Reising of the Buck Reising Show, as well as A to Z Sports. No, I mean, the story is just a few hours old, and everybody has a ton of questions, good and bad, because if you go to the F&M Bank chat and you look at all the conversations that are going on right now in the chat, it is both positive and negative. So we ask you, 615-737-1045, how worried should we be about Jamal Adams' ability to stay healthy? Next on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I want you to know that have you ever heard about peptides? Peptides are shaking up the fitness world. They are naturally occurring aminos in our bodies, and as we age, they start to decline. And at some point, they may need to be supplemented. And this is why our workouts and stop being productive at the gym. So maybe you feel like you've hit a wall or perhaps feel tired all the time. You may be struggling to stay awake even in the evenings after you get home from work. And you thought it was just because that's the normal part of aging and it doesn't have to be that way, right? Well, peptides are proven to increase muscle and performance, burn fat, help with recovery between workouts, and more. And peptides can even help with motivation and mental clarity. These are safe, naturally occurring aminos, not pharmaceuticals, a naturally holistic way to get your body back to peak performance. Plus, Edge Peptide Therapy has the most comprehensive blood panel around. So when you go to Edge, you will know exactly what is going on inside of your body and what it needs to get back to peak performance, just like I did. So feel better from the inside out. So go to edgepeptide.com or you can give them a call at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
How worried should we be about Jamal Adams' ability to stay healthy? Welcome in 104.5 The Zone. He is the Hitman Blaine Bishop. I am Joe Hunt, brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We have a ton of people in on the F&M Bank chat right now, which you can do so by going and watching Zone TV on YouTube, Facebook, X, as well as Twitch, and get your comments in there as well as on the phone lines at 615-737-1045. So, Blaine, I ask you the same question because he played in a half of football 2 seasons ago. He played in 9 games last year, and Jamal Adams played in 12 in 2021. But missed a lot of time in all 3 seasons because of these injuries, and the Titans just signed him. So what do you think the health plays into this? Because so far you, as well as Buck, have talked about his health is the biggest deal or question mark that we've seen so far when it comes to the signing.
Well, I mean, it's just looking objectively, just like everybody else is, over the last 3 years and really the last 2 seasons, that quad injury really has given him fits. It's a tough injury to come back from. He probably was trying to play sooner than later. Naturally, you're trying to press the play when you have a big contract and you're kind of that player that has that kind of ilk and reputation around the league. So hopefully you would assume that the training staff have all gave him the thumbs up and that he is completely healthy now, at least at the start here, and that he can run around and be close to what he used to be. And if that is the case, the Titans win, and I think that's what they're probably banking on. And if they're not, it's no harm, no foul because they got him for a great value of what they paid him. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's unpredictable. Here's what I'll say about injuries in the National Football League. It's just like driving a car. You can get in a wreck at any time, right? So your body is breaking down. All we have to do is look at the pattern and the history of what's happened. So will he likely get injured? Probably, but so are the other players, and so has the team the last 3 years been one of the most injury-ridden teams. So you just hope that maybe he's kind of turned the corner and can stay healthy with all this also rest time. When you say he missed games, like last year he only played 9 games, you go, well, dang, he hadn't played very much at all. So if he's got his quad right and he can run, man, he's going to be a force on the field in whatever role they decide to use him. He's going to be that kind of guy. Whether he's in the box playing dime, over the tight end and in the box, or if he's a full-time starter, I think he's going to have some kind of influence there with the way he plays. It's just his style of play. It's going to be intimidating. It's going to be smart. It's going to be hard. And everybody's going to have to kind of, when you turn on the tape, you see this guy moving around and you go, oh, we got to pick it up. He's just that kind of guy.
615-737-1045. Second hour of the show going to be all dedicated to you as far as Jamal Adams was going. We've gotten those comments on the F&M Bank chat talking about how different of a player Jamal Adams was in New York compared to what he was in Seattle as well, and his usage. So we'll have that for you coming up in just a few minutes as those phone lines are open, as is the F&M Bank chat. But he is the Hitman Blaine Bishop. I'm Joe Hunt, brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, Tennessee, summer is in full swing and Coolway is here to make sure your home is ready for all the fun and the sun. We've got some sizzling deals that will keep you comfortable and worry-free all season long. Ensure your family stays hydrated and healthy with free water quality testing, because nothing beats a refreshing drink of pure water on a hot summer day. So get ready for some summer activities with a $500 off tankless water heaters and $250 off tanked water heaters. Perfect for endless hot water when you need it the most. And don't forget, keep your home cool and comfy with a $49 AC tune-up. And make sure your air conditioner is ready to beat the Tennessee heat. And this summer, let Coolray take care of your home so you can focus on making memories. That's family memories, of course. So call us today and take advantage of these scorching hot deals. Cool-Ray, your trusted partner for a cool and comfortable Tennessee summer. So visit coolray.com or you can just give us a call at 615-570-0900. That's 570-0900. Cool-Ray, keeping Tennessee cool, plumbing right, and always lights bright.
Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Hunk. The Titans have made it official as they have signed safety Jamal Adams. We do not know the terms of the agreement just yet. Those will be out in just a little while. But Adams comes in, former All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler, and has 21 and a half sacks in his career. The question marks that does come with Adams is those 21 and a half sacks, none of those have happened in the last 3 seasons as he has went over the past 3 years as a Seattle Seahawk. He has also been extremely injured as a Seattle Seahawk with injuries that took him out for the entire 2022 season outside of one half of play against the Denver Broncos in week 1 of the season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, though, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols. This is the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans. This is 104.5 The Zone. Second hour, final hour, best hour coming up on 104.5 The Zone. Joe Hunk joined by the hitman, Blaine Bishop, as no one better as a former Titan. And I'm going to continue to say nobody better in the country. Don't stop me, please.
Don't stop.
Don't. That is more suited to talk about the signing of Jamal Adams than the man sitting across from me right now.
Oh, my.
So, a lot of hype for you for the next hour because, it's kind of your position. Yeah. It's kind of what you're known as.
Well, that's the position I played. I pretty much know all the positions. What people don't realize is that most players, once you get to the NFL, you've probably played multiple positions on both sides of the ball. And so, it's always kind of interesting when somebody asks you, a question about offense. I'm like, he's just defense. Well, no, I mean, if you're a guy who really paid attention and was educated on really just the game in itself, if you didn't understand other positions, man, you're going to be in a world of hurt. I mean, some of these guys are so super gifted, they probably didn't, but I was had enough ability to get in there. So I had to use my brains in between my eyeballs there to make sure I understood everything else going on. So, yeah, Jamal Adams, man, I was a little surprised, but, man, when he's healthy, he's an impressive player.
615-737-1045. We're going to get to your phone calls here in just a second as Steve's going to be the first one up. We threw out a poll question before the show. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about the signing of Jamal Adams? 32% right now are on the 1 to 3 spot when it comes to their 1, 2, or 3 when it comes to how they're feeling about the signing. 8 to 10 are at 9% as far as being super excited about it. But majority of the people that have voted so far at 104.5 The Zone say that they're pretty much in the middle. About 4 to 7, they don't know how to really feel about it because of it could be amazing, but it may not work out either because of the injury history, which is getting talked about a lot.
Right, which is value. They hopefully we'll see the numbers here, but I don't think they gave up a whole lot as far as price. So that means value. Maybe they got it for 1.5 up to $2 million or something thereabout. So we'll see. But if he stays healthy, he gets paid something respectable. If not, then it doesn't hurt the Titans. And if he's in a different role, maybe he's just in that dime package. A lot of people call it the linebacker position because it is in that kind of area. I don't know if he'll be happy about that, but they're going to find a role for him. And this coaching staff, the defensive staff, they know him a little bit. They coached him when he was with the Jets when he had his best years. Naturally, he was a lot younger and he didn't have any of these major injuries. But we shall see if, you never want to count a guy out like this when he's had that kind of success and he's now had injuries. You just don't ever, you may get a light in the bottle and lightning in the bottle here. And even if it's for 1 year, that's all you need him to be. And he gets back to healthy to prove that he is back. So, looking at it from that perspective, they could catch it. And, man, that would be unique to catch it, man, because he is he's an impressive player when healthy. He can impact the game with his style of play and his leadership. As he mentioned, his leadership, but he's a smart, instinctive, brings a toughness and a mindset that goes right with the DC and what he's been talking about.
All right, let's go to the phone line. 615-737-1045. Stay in Nashville. Steve, welcome in. What do you think about Jamal Adams?
First of all, I tell you that I really enjoy y'all's show. I listen to it every day.
Thank you, sir.
And one thing I want to ask Blaine is when we sign these free agents, are they automatically on the 53-man roster? Or do they have to make the team, or do we owe them money as soon as they start practicing? And the same thing for the rookies. When we sign them, the people we draft, are they automatically on the team, or you owe them money, or how does that work?
Okay, well, we could talk about the draft picks. I would say the top 5 draft picks are pretty much slotted. They're going to be on the roster. Maybe sometimes every now and then the 5th, 6th, 7th round guys that may get cut and put on a practice squad. You've already given them, some sign-in bonus money. So they're going to be, if not on the roster, they're going to be on the practice squad. Now, free agent guys, different than Jamal, if you've given them, millions of dollars sign-in bonus, they're going to be on the team. And not only that year, but they're going to be on there for some years. Obviously, if guys were signed early in the free agency. Now, late in the party here is Jamal, and I don't think there will probably be any guarantees that he's on the roster or not, unless he can show he's solidified that he's the starter and he stays healthy even during training camp. So guys that are signing for minimum, and we can even use Tyler Boyd, which I think he's going to be on the roster and is going to be a starter, but they gave him up to, $4.5 million or so. So they even are making him earn, and he had, 700-800 yards receiving last year. So when you get up there in age or because of injuries, you're trying to rekindle things there in the National Football League. It's kind of a prove-it year for you. So I think that's what this is, and he's got a lot to prove, and one of them is to stay healthy. So I think it's a coin toss if he's going to be on the roster or not.
So there's a potential that week one going to Chicago, he may not even be on the plane.
I would say so. Based off of what we see from his contract, let's see that first. If he signs a 3-year deal, and even though it's not a lot of money for as far as NFL standards, let's say he's just making, $3 million, some customary solid number, $4 million or whatever it may be per year, then I'll go, oh, he's probably on the roster. Now, if it's for 1.5 and up to incentives, then you just never know. Because here's what could happen. He could not win the starting job, and let's just say Molden, since he's on the roster, is the starter, and he doesn't like his role, that he's going to be the dime guy, the linebacker guy, and they're only playing 20 plays a game. Well, I don't know if he's going to like that or not, but that's the role the coaches say. And I would assume because of their relationship with him that would help in that process. But I can't guarantee you that. I don't know Jamal, and I don't know their relationship with him as far as communication, because he can go rogue and just be pissed off for greatness and be mad.
Well, and that's like part of it. TM Berg on the F&M Bank chat says we're still going to need another safety. When Adams finally came back last season, he was slow as Christmas.
Yeah.
I know that if, in my history in playing baseball, a lot of times if there's an arm when it comes to like a starting pitcher and they can throw 95 to 96, if you put them in the bullpen and they're only pitching 1 inning or 2 innings, that 96 or 97 can turn into them throwing 99 into 100 because they're only being used for shorter periods of time. That dime position that you're talking about with Jamal Adams, could it actually benefit him to only be on the field for those certain plays where he could then play even harder and get back to that speed that a lot of people are remembering for?
Well, that's not what I was referencing. I think it absolutely could work out. But if he doesn't believe that that's where he should be, he thinks he's a starter, it's not going to work. If he thinks he should start, because he could start being malcontent and not be happy that he is not the actual starter. This guy was the 6th pick of the draft. With that comes talent, but also it comes with a huge ego. And I'm that dude. And it works good when they got things going and they're healthy. But when they're not, he got to I don't think he handled the adversity last year when they said, we're gonna bench you. And then he didn't even show up for the game. See, so hopefully he learned from that experience and learned to be more of a team guy in a situation where you're not what you used to be. And he should have realized that he wasn't the same player, at least at that point in time, and that he was going to have to make some sacrifices. Sometimes that's tough for guys who have always been in the limelight and always have been that guy. Now you have to be in a lesser role. And sometimes some guys like, nope, either I'm this role or I'm not here.
Well, and that's where what he said with Mike Keith in that video that Mike Keith posted.
What did he say?
So there's a video that just came out. So what happened is Jamal Adams has not just been signed by the Titans, like they don't have a deal and he's flying in. He's already at St. Thomas. He has already signed the papers. The Titans have already tweeted all this stuff out about it. And what also has happened is Mike Keith has sat down with Jamal Adams for a special OTP that actually just dropped a few seconds ago. But before that happened, Mike did a quick video with Jamal Adams announcing that he was in the facility, and Mike asked Jamal about what he brings to the team, and here's what Jamal Adams said.
I post videos to tell you about significance, but rather than me doing a video saying why the Jamal Adams signing is significant to the Tennessee Titans, let's ask Jamal Adams why the signing of Jamal Adams is significant.
Leadership, swagger, energy.
Believe that.
Now, go back. Go back to the very beginning of where Jamal Adams gives his 3 things. And one of these it goes into what you're talking about right here. Play that one more time with Jamal Adams and what he says.
Leadership, swagger, energy.
So now to your point, and I totally agree with you that this could happen. You go into the final week of the season or preseason, Jamal is not looking like he's going to lead. He's not going to be the starting safety. And he goes into Rand and is like, look, I'm not going to be on the practice squad. It's either I'm playing and starting or I'm gone.
No, that's not what we said. We said
okay,
him
say it again.
being the dime.
Being the dime.
Yeah,
so,
which means 20 plays a game.
So if they say, look, we think that you're better suited at this position at the dime, and he's like, no, I'm not feeling that. Like I didn't come in to be that.
He'll just ask to be released. And,
right.
and I think they will accommodate that if he takes that take or if that happens.
So, and the reason I played that is because that first one he said.
Leadership.
Mm-hmm. If you're trying to be a good leader in the locker room, then being a good leader is filling the gap wherever you are needed because your ultimate goal is to still win a championship. So wouldn't it be showing the leadership to go, okay, look, I want to be the starting safety, but if I'm not going to be that guy, then just release me. That's not showing the leadership, is it? Or am I reading that wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, words are sucker, you know what? I mean, they are what they are until you're out there competing.
Right.
So, I take all words said by players with a grain of salt. I go by the proof is in the pudding. So until I see him do that, will I lead? When I think I hear him say leadership, a guy who was the 6th pick of the draft and was 3-time All-Pro, which means he was the best in the world for 3 different years. There comes with an ilk and thought processes. My leadership is when I go play, when I'm a dog, and when the dog goes hunt, y'all better come with me. And y'all gonna follow my lead. That is what I hear when I hear him say leadership, because I haven't seen him do what you're saying. And until we see him do that, if he has to take a lesser role, then I will say, well, there, he showed that he can do that. But right now, I go with face value, what he has shown me. And until that changes, will I ever believe in that? Dudes who have been leaders like that and been at the top of the mountain, they don't take well to being in the back seat. You're not in the front seat no more. You the back seat. So if that does happen, I'll be interested to see how he responds to that. And leadership from guys who have been that dog guy, it's hard. It's hard. Watch this. I've been a leadership. I go to the Eagles. Now I'm the 2nd best safety on the team. Brian Dawkins is the number 1 safety. Blaine, you just make all the calls and get everybody lined up. Whoa. Is this what we agreed to? I just got here. Why can't I just freelance and do me? No, this your role right here. You had to take a back seat. Had to realize that's what my role was. Will he do the same? See?
615-737-1045. At the end of last year, in 2023, at the end of that, KJ Wright joined Blaine and Brad Hopkins here on 104.5 The Zone.
It was Mickey, man. It was B-Hop.
It was B-Hop.
Oh, really?
It was B-Hop. Yep, it was you and B-Hop.
Wow.
It was filling in during Christmas time.
Oh, that's right. He was doing a holiday.
It was during Christmas time.
Oh, right.
And so he hopped on with you, and Jamal Adams was a major topic of this conversation that you guys had. We have that audio for you. We'll have that next, because part of what Blaine has just talked about is addressed in this cut that we have with KJ Wright. We'll have that for you next here on 104.5 The Zone.
Good stuff. Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I'm excited to tell you about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, or as you may know them as TOA. And TOA has 29 locations, over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. In addition to the orthopedic clinics and urgent care facilities, TOA offers physical therapy, hand therapy, and sports performance training for teams and individuals at their sports performance centers. And as a former professional athlete, I know how important access to expert orthopedic care is. So whether you're an athlete, active adult, or just looking to get back to living your best life, you can visit TOA online at TOA.com. That's TOA.com. Or you can give them a call at 1-855-NEED-TOA. That's 1-855-NEED-TOA.
38 minutes remaining for Blaine Bishop and myself, Joe Hunt, brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Before we hand it off to 3HL, don't forget next week, 3HL will be in Dallas for SEC Media Days. They're going to be talking to coaches, players, huge media members, all of that, as they are going to be in Dallas and may or may not be doing some other amazing things that are going to totally make myself jealous, but we're not going to talk about those at the moment because we're talking about Jamal Adams and the fact that he is a Titan, right, and he was just signed a little while ago. He just wrapped up an episode of the OTP with Mike Keith as well. We've got people on the F&M Bank chat talking, and a lot of the conversation is, look, we don't need him. And in fact, it was a tweet that was just sent to us. It says, we don't need him to perform the way that he did in 2020 or 2019, but we need him to be on the field for at least 14 to 15 games, and then I will be excited about this. Just stay healthy.
Yeah. I can respect that. I mean, you got, man, whenever you're dealing with these high profile, like electric, exceptional players like Jamal Adams is, if he's healthy and he's out to prove that he's back, boy, it's going to be awesome to watch.
Well, and I know y'all
going to see something that y'all haven't seen before since 23 was out there. That's what I'm going to say to you. If he is healthy, y'all going to see something like that. And but if he is not, then he's going to be pissed off, and maybe the relationship that he has with the coaches, it does matter. It does matter. And when I was talking about me in a different role, I had to sit there and think about it for a second and say, hey, you know what? I want to win more than I want to be able to freelance like I used to do. And I was on an exceptional team with the Eagles. And, I said, hey, man, I'm trying to get a Super Bowl ring before I retire. And so I'm at the end, and Jamal Adams probably thinks he's in the middle. See? So a little different perspective. So it's always tougher for those high-profile, high draft pick guys to take, take that pill to say, hey, man, you're no longer that guy.
Well, and Robert says that right now, I feel like we need a linebacker and a safety. So I feel like that maybe Jamal might be able to fit both of those roles at the same time.
Well, I don't know about him being a linebacker. I know that in certain situations, passing situations, he can play the linebacker spot, which is really called dime. And, that's when there's more receivers and tight ends out there and not, multiple tight end sets. So you don't want him out there doing that. You don't want to take on a 6'4", big old tight end. He's going to lose that battle most of the time. So we shall see what role they have him at. If I was betting money, if he stays healthy, he is the starter for the Tennessee Titans. That is what I would bet on. If he makes it through training camp and starts. Because I've said this before, I think Molden is better for the role of what everybody's talking about, the linebacker dime / spot. I don't think he's really a starter in the National Football League.
So back in December, Blaine and B-Hop had KJ Wright on, former Seattle Seahawk. He's actually now one of the quality control coaches for the San Francisco 49ers. And he joined the guys here on 104.5 The Zone. And one player that he talked about was a player that he played with in his final season with the Seattle Seahawks, which was that 2020 season, which was arguably Jamal Adams' best season as a Seattle Seahawk in his time there. And a lot of what was asked of this and what you and B-Hop talked to him about was about the injuries, the way things that he handled the situation off the field, even how KJ Wright would have done it if he would have been a coach, which he now is for the San Francisco 49ers. And here is what KJ Wright had to say back in December about Jamal Adams.
Well, watching Jamal Adams, he wasn't playing well.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't playing well at all, giving up way too many explosives. And to his credit, he wasn't healthy.
Yep.
Jamal Adams, he has this quad injury that's really, really hard to come back from. And so they had to make a hard decision to say, hey, we appreciate you fighting. We appreciate you battling. But, man, you're really costing us on the football field. And I don't like the way that Jamal Adams handled it. They told him he would be a healthy scratch. And he decided not to show up to the ball game. You can't do that. At the end of the day, it's about your brothers. It's about the Seattle Seahawks. And I've been benched myself. I've been put on the bench before, and it is a hard pill
tough
to swallow.
pill.
It is a hard pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, I showed up. I supported my teammates. Any rep that I got, I went out there and I competed. And I eventually got my starting spot back. And so for Jamal Adams not to show up during the ball game and say I'm going to stay at home, I didn't like that decision at all.
Yeah. How was he told? Was he told ahead of time, or was he told like literally before the game at the stadium? I always love these tough conversations because the real good coaches have those conversations whether you're going to like what is being delivered to you or not. So when did he know this information?
They told him throughout the week.
Oh,
they said,
okay.
Hey, we know you're not healthy. Maybe we could have these special packages for you, only base personnel. But for the most part, if you can handle this, cool. If you can't, then you'll be a healthy scratch.
So do you think
he made? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, add to finish Adams' deal. Do you think he will be in some special packages since we run the football a lot, and that is kind of his cup of tea?
He should be out there. Come out. Hey, Jamal. Hey, with the Philadelphia Eagles, there were a lot of 11 personnel airing the ball out to AJ and Devontae Smith. But right now, we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel. We'll see some 13 potentially. Derrick Henry is going to need to be tackled. This is something that you excel at. And so I do believe if I'm the defensive coordinator, if I'm the head coach, you're going to be in on first and second down, base personnel. And when we go dime, when we go nickel, known passing downs, let's have this other personnel come in. Let's just fit into your strong suit. We know what you do well. You read screens well. You tackle well. You're a playmaker in the backfield. But on passing downs, we want to protect you a little bit.
That was KJ Wright back in December here on 104.5 The Zone talking about Jamal Adams and when he did not show up for that Monday Night Football game against the Eagles. So now listening back to that, what do you think about some of the things that KJ said back in December?
No, I agree with him. And he actually didn't play that game either.
No, he didn't play the remainder of the season.
He didn't play. So he alluded to that they probably would dress him and play him in the dime pack, especially since they play in the Titans. They run the football. But I completely agree with KJ Wright. I mean, everything he said, he was on point. It's hard to disagree with that. So, yeah, Jamal had to have a, hard conversation with himself. That's what I said. These guys are the high-profile 6th pick of the draft now. Those are tough pills to swallow, especially when he found out earlier in the week. It wasn't like game day or the day before, like it was a knee-jerk reaction by the coaching staff or, oh, you're not healthy. They made that decision going in because they wanted to say, we want the other person to get all the reps at practice so they can go out there and play.
Yeah, he's not sitting at the house and he's getting ready he's about to hop in his car and head to the stadium. Yeah. And he gets that phone call and they tell him, hey, when you get here, come in and let's talk for a second.
That's what I thought it was because the way he, I could see somebody getting pissed in like, man, forget them. I'm not playing then. Why am I be there then? But this was all out during the week. So, I thought he mishandled that whole situation. And it was probably the first time that he ever had to deal with that. And he probably will admit today that he probably should have done it a different way.
Well, and I think that part for me is the part that I'm questioning the most is because he does talk about, especially in that Mike Keith video, that he's bringing leadership to it. Well, the leadership part of that's a heavy weight to bear. I mean, this and how much comes into being a leader in that locker room. And, you talk about things that you were doing with the Eagles, and this part of being a leader is you get told and get asked to do something that you weren't prepared to do. How do you handle that as somebody that's having to be the leader of a football team the way that you had to be at the Eagles when you were coming in there?
Well, I would say for Jamal, I think when they say leadership here, man, that's almost like saying that in the secondary there is no leadership. And that's kind of how I see what he's coming in to do, and being himself, just being who he is. He's a guy that is vocal and not just communication with his teammates as far as on the field. I just think that's who he is, and that's his style. And I think they like that, and they think they need that. So if he's healthy, everybody's going to be happy and everything else. But it's when things go awry, how will they be at that point?
Well, I think that's something that needs to be said. Is we're sitting here, we focused on the injuries so far today on the show. We've talked about
that's a concern.
The leadership, and all of it is a concern on this. But flip it around to what you just said. If this man is healthy, and he is the player like he was before going to Seattle or the first season in Seattle, this deal now, if it is a value-saving deal the way that Buck said it was an hour ago, this now makes me think, like, if this guy's healthy, you are talking an all-pro, a Pro Bowler. Like, that's the type of guy that you could potentially get if his health is not an issue in 2024.
Well, no, that's what I was saying before the break, that this could be a steal, and that I said this guy was going to play like you haven't seen a safety play, and we've had some pretty good safeties here.
I know one.
Yeah, so he has that potential, and, it's like when you get that wounded animal, and then when it gets healed, you've now brought something out of them that is totally different than what you saw before. And so that could be, really dangerous and play well for the Titans. So I'm interested to see what we get, because I'm putting my money on that he will be close to the guy that we've seen before when he was in the Jets uniform.
Well, and on one thing you mentioned just a few seconds ago, one part of the connection as far as the reason why Jamal Adams has signed with the Titans goes back to the Titans' brand new defensive coordinator and Denard Wilson, and the fact that he has a history with him back when he was with the New York Jets. And in fact, just a few moments ago on the OTP, Jamal Adams was asked about how much fun it is now getting ready for football, and he even says and talks about Denard Wilson.
Just knowing that Denard Wilson, was coming over to the Titans and it was going to be the DC, it was a no-brainer for me.
All right, we've got to know about Denard a little bit because you have played for him before.
Right.
Tell us why that was so intriguing to you, why you wanted to work for him again, basically.
Well, he drafted me. That goes a long way, right? So he drafted me back when I was 21. I'm 28 now. Time flies, and I'm going into year 8. And this has always been his dream job of what he wanted to do. What was his goal? He was always trying to achieve that day in, day out. And he's always set the standard. He's had his standard at a high, level. There was nothing that we were going to change his rules or, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? So he's just really competitive, a guy that loves ball and a guy that, he's going to get the best out of you.
We've heard a lot about what he's going to bring as a defensive coordinator.
Right.
Because you played for him 2017 through 2019 with the Jets. What is he going to bring as the defensive coordinator?
He's going to bring energy. He's going to bring everything out that you could imagine. He's trying to bring the best out of the player, each player. He's trying to reach everybody because it's it's one team, one heartbeat, right? So for him, his philosophy is being a dog but being smart. Being in a controlled environment, not getting too hyped, not getting too low, but staying even keel and, just being attackful. That's what it's about.
That relationship also.
So that was that was Jamal Adams on the OTP that just dropped a few seconds ago after he signed with the Tennessee Titans. He's saying a lot of great things, and Denard Wilson is the reason why he is joining the team. We look at the things that Denard has done so far on this team and the players that Rand has brought in, as well as Brian Callahan, for Denard Wilson in this defense. Should we be looking more at that, or does that play into your thought process when it comes to, all right, we know what Denard Wilson, and we're seeing what he's wanting and the type of player he wants, but this guy makes me nervous. Like, we haven't questioned really anything this team has really done up until this point and with this signing.
Well, for me, it's really funny because for me, that is not a worry for me. I think you got to look at it from a business perspective. This is a value signing. If we get lightning in the bottle, hooray, hip hop, hooray. If it doesn't work out, we didn't spend a lot of money. And that's how the NFL and teams look at this signing. There is no risk from their point of view. If it doesn't work out, then they'll ask him so quickly it doesn't matter. So it's just... you probably getting him at a really good time where he's gotten to see where his body is at. He's had some failures. Now he's going to be revved up to try to prove something. And that's when you want to sign guys right there, especially a guy of his ilk. And when I say that, man, I'm not saying that lightly. He is a different type of player. There's a lot of these first round guys, when they start getting pissed off for greatness, that's a dangerous deal. When he talks about going after somebody, did you hear the word? He said attack. Mm-hmm. When I hear him talk, I go, oh my, we have got something. That's why I said I'm going to lean 85% that he is going to be what we think he's going to be, because I don't think he would be talking like that. I really don't. If he thought his body was not where it needed to be, and then he's at a comfort level, by the way, that's a whole nother level as an athlete. And you know this, is you're playing for coaches that you know who believe in you. And that can take you to your greatness too. Because you know, even when you fail, they're still going to have your back because they know what you can do. Because he is going to get beat for a touchdown. That's no way around it. You're defensive back in this passing league. So he's going to have the support, and ain't nobody going to yank you because you got beat. See, that's not going to happen. So I just think all the tentacles and the relationships makes for, as long as he stay healthy, this is going to be a good little ride.
Well, and obviously over the last 2 to 3 hours, not just here with us, but also on Buck's show, the injuries have been something that have been talked about. We come back, even Jamal Adams on the OTP mentions his history of injuries and going into this 2024 season. We'll hear from that as well. Phone lines are still open to you at 615-737-1045. He is the hitman, Blaine Bishop. I'm Joe Hunk. This is 1045 The Zone. All right, coming up here in about 15 minutes, 3HL is going to continue this conversation about Jamal Adams and the signing with the Tennessee Titans. He is in town. He is ready to go for training camp that is going to be starting here in just a couple of weeks. Blaine, you mentioned something right before we went to break, and it jogged something that I remembered Denard Wilson talking about when here a couple of months ago when he was meeting with the media, because one thing that Jamal Adams talked about on the OTP was, what was it you said again? Can you say it again about attacking?
Right, he just said, I'm going to be attacking. I mean, and that's pretty much what this style of defense is. It's kind of a hit or miss defense. And when I say that, I mean, either you're going to make a big play or you're going to get a big play made on you. That's why you had to have these two corners that they signed, because you're going to be in a lot of man-to-man. So the onus goes on. That's why he said it's going to be built from the back end forward. It's Wilson. That was on his word. So that's exactly what happens.
Well, and Denard Wilson did meet with the media around Valentine's Day earlier this year. You heard what Jamal Adams said when it came to the style of defense that he's heard about from Coach Wilson. Here is what Coach Wilson said during that press conference.
Well, right now we're just going through the process. We just got here 2 days ago, really. The staff's coming together. So we're evaluating the players, evaluating the talent that's here. About football, it's not about scheme. It's about the players, right? So we have to figure out what they do well, and then we'll put the scheme around them, all right, to allow their talents to flourish. I can tell you this about the scheme, all right? And I learned this a long time ago. General George Patton said this: nobody ever defended anything successful. You're going to attack and attack some more. We're going to be attacking defense. We're going to be violent in our approach. All right, we're going to be smart. We're going to be intelligent. We're never going to compromise for competing. And that's the style of brand of football that we're going to play around here.
That same word that you just said, that Jamal, that attack. Like, just hearing Denard Wilson say that.
Oh, man, I get goosebumps just listening to him, man.
Well, what did we talk about with Jamal Adams and when he was with the New York Jets? That's when he had 21 and a half sacks, and that's when he did the damage that he did as the strong safety. So if he's coming here, because Denard Wilson was the secondary coach at the New York Jets with Jamal Adams, you would think that he said, I want you to be the guy that you were with the Jets. I don't want you to be the guy that you were in Seattle. Like a lot of people think that those are like two different types of players of what we saw in Seattle and what we saw in New York.
Well, he was utilized different a little bit too. I think they try to utilize, first and foremost, nobody's having that kind of conversation talking about we want you to be like that and this and that. That's not happening.
Okay.
That's not that is assumed. Once he passed the physical, we assume that you're going to be playing like you're supposed to play. So that's not part of no conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. Did somebody ever say, hey, man, we want you to play like when you played on that AAA travel ball team like you did 2 years ago? Those conversations don't happen like that.
Right. Okay, see, so, and I didn't know that. That was my assumption. Because my assumption is that they bring him in and say, look, man, we've seen your tape in Seattle. Obviously, I know what you did in New York. And we want to utilize you the way that we did it in New York. So that's why I'm glad you said that.
Watch this.
Okay.
Play that clip again. Where he just said, just where the coach says how they build their defense. And he said, around the player's strengths. That is actually saying what you're saying without saying it.
Right. Here it is.
So we're evaluating the players, evaluating the talent that's here. About football, it's not about scheme. It's about the players, right? So we have to figure out what they do well, and then we'll put the scheme around them, all right, to allow their talents to flourish. I can tell you this about the scheme, all right? And I learned this a long time ago.
Yep, that's it.
It's
See, and that's when you know you got a good coach. Because some coaches say, I run this scheme, you got to figure out how to fit in my scheme. The good coaches say, we're going to build our defensive scheme, offensive scheme around what you do well. That means we're not going to put you out there in a position, oh, Blaine, we want you to play deep middle and you a ball hawk. Well, Blaine, over your history, you've shown you can't catch. So why would I make you the ball hawk? See that?
Right.
Uh-huh.
So then that's the difference.
Right. So we're going to make sure everybody's in a position. We're going to be attacking. We're going to be smart. We're going to be aggressive. We're not going to take no stuff from nobody. And we're going to come out here when we turn on this tape, we're going to be flying around like a bunch of crazed wild dogs. And that's what he's saying. And then I'm going to put y'all all in spots. And can't nobody say that I put them in a bad spot. Sneed, you like playing man-to-man. Woozy, you like playing man-to-man? Well, that's what you're going to be doing. And we're going to be challenging people, and we're going to challenge them and challenge them and challenge them till they don't challenge and give up, and we're going to make them submit. That's what he's talking about right there. So, fitting scheme. That's why they signed 2 corners. It wasn't just because the Titans need some corners. These corners fit with what they want to do.
Attacking corners.
No, man-to-man corners.
Dang it. I'll get this
safety,
right.
The safety is the attack. The linebackers are the attack. The pass rushers are the attack. The guys on the corner, the attack means we're going to play man-to-man and we're going to strap it up and let's go one-on-one. Let's see who wins.
Well, and isn't that something the Titans have struggled with over like the last 2 or 3 years is playing man-to-man coverage?
Right.
They've gotten beat a ton by that.
Right, but that's why they decided to.
Right. Right.
So
I mean, how many times?
He couldn't run this scheme without those guys, so that's why I started there. He knew what he wanted to run. He had to go get them. This is just the beginning of the pieces now. All the pieces aren't there yet. They still don't. I mean, you can't do it in one off season.
Matter of fact, Emmett on our F&M Bank chat, you can go in and get in on that as well by watching us on Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. He says that I haven't heard a defensive coach talk like that since Buddy Ryan. That's what he said. And it's
that's why I feel like I've heard this before.
Right. He said
because I've heard Wilson talk, but I hadn't heard him myself personally.
Yeah.
But people who he trained under all started with Buddy Ryan to Greg Williams. Then Greg Williams then trained Mr. Wilson, who was my DC, and Swartzy. Wilson. Yeah. He was on the staff there with them at the Rams, at the Redskins. I'm sorry, the Redskins at the time.
How dare you say that word?
Yeah, Redskins. Sorry. It was the Redskins. Now the Commanders. So, yeah, man. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens, out here, on the defensive side of the ball. But it's going to be fun to watch because they're going to be aggressive and they're going to attack and they're going to lose some. But hopefully they win more than they lose.
Well, and obviously what's going to get talked about, 3HL is going to talk about it more as well, is the history with the injuries. And Mike Keith asked Jamal Adams about that history and how he's feeling.
Right. Yeah. Going into 2023, obviously after my injury, me knowing I wasn't really fully healthy, I knew I had to sacrifice and go out there and try my best. I did what I could, but, eventually that knee is just not going to hold up if it's not ready, right? So for me, just going out there and competing, just to get to where I am now, man, it's a 180. It's a complete 180, man.
Complete 180.
That.
You know what I love?
If this guy is, oh my. It's about to be fun. Oh, man.
Here's what I love.
If he does anything like he did at Jets, you're going to see me just acting giddy every week, man.
Every single time, there's been 2 or 3 different clips that we've heard from Jamal Adams talking about his health right there. Denard Wilson talking about was. Like, I've just in the past couple of months since I've been here with you, I haven't seen you this giddy as what I've just seen you in the last 10 minutes.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see this, man.
Because we want to see it.
He's speaking my language. I feel like he's been in the meetings that I was in. And that's because he's learned from the other guys that I learned from.
That's what I'm saying is like you and him share so much of a history as far as injuries, going to a new team, wanting to prove you could still. There's so many connections between the two.
Man.
And now it goes back to what we said at the very beginning. Nobody better in the country to talk about this signing today than you.
Oh, my.
Don't even give me the Ryan Clark stuff. Don't even give it to me. All right, we're out of here. 3HL is next. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. But in the meantime.
And in between time. Peace.